Tuesday, February the 13th, 2018, to you. Today, I'm going to write about corruption. More specifically, I would like to draw your attention on two ongoing scandals. Indeed, both cases are good examples of how distant political behavior can be from its ideals and values. First, I'm going to refer to current Israeli political situation. Police officials recommended that Prime Minister Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu should be charged over alleged bribery cases. A statement said there is enough evidence to indict Mr. Netanyahu for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust in the so-called Case 1000 and Case 2000. The former deals with illicit gifts from billionaire benefactors received by Mr. Netanyahu and his wife Sarah, including hundreds of thousands of shekels worth of cigars from the Israeli-born Hollywood producer Mr. Arnon Milchan. As for the latter case, it involves a suspected illegal deal between the Prime Minister and Yediot Ahronot newspaper publisher Mr. Arnon Moses, which would have seen Mr. Netanyahu weaken the rival Hayom newspaper in return for more favorable coverage from Yediot. Corruption is always bad, but it is even more abhorrible when it happens in Israel. Indeed, the Jewish state was possible thanks to respectable, austere people such as Herzl, Weizmann, Katznelson, Ben Yehuda, and Ben Gurion. Had it not been for those idealistic people, the Jewish people would not have regained its land. More recently, the Prime Minister, Mr. Yitzhak Rabin, the one who took the political decision to rescue the hostages at Entebbe airport 1 year earlier, by the way, resigned in 1977 because of revelations about a joint dollar account in an American bank. Mr. Rabin had opened it during his tenure as the Israeli ambassador in Washington, D.C. some years earlier. Every single following Israeli Prime Minister should live up to Mr. Rabin's decency, and I hope that Mr. Netanyahu will do so. Unfortunately, opinion pollings are still suggesting that he will be re-elected. Oi Gewalt. A complete opposite scenario is taking place in South Africa. President Mr. Jacob Zuma has been recalled by his own party, the African National Congress, ANC, simply because the ANC had it. No kidding, in a message sent to Mr. Zuma, ANC chairman Mr. Gwede Montashi wrote, "We are going to let you be devoured by the vultures." For the sake of brevity, I will not refer in detail about the recent South African corruption scandals. Let me just observe that Mr. Zuma was charged with the rape of a woman with HIV in 2005. He later said he did not fear contracting the virus because he took a shower after sex. This is the man who is governing South Africa. Under Mr. Zuma's watch, South African GDP growth averaged less than 2%, one of the weakest rates in sub-Saharan Africa. For its part, the country's debt to GDP ratio has jumped to over 50% in 2016 from 31% in 2009. How is it then that he keeps surviving? Partly that is because of his tough, but also he owes his continuity in office to his Zulu origin. Zulu people used to be too reluctant to take part in the post-apartheid political game. Indeed, the 1994 general election was almost boycotted by them, so having a Zulu president guaranteed the ANC's unity until he became a political liability, as many young black voters are turning their eyes to other parties like Democratic Alliance. Needless to say, the so-called Rainbow Nation was possible thanks to outstanding people. Everyone acknowledges Mandela, but there were others like Luthuli Tambo or Bishop Tutu. Alas, once again, how distant political behavior can be from its ideals and values. Please Israel, please South Africa, mind the gap. The world is still on.